After you have sewn together your C5s to your C4s, and you should have 4 of these like this, and then here are your C5s sewn together, and you should have 8 of these. We're going to stitch a unit B to each one of the 12. You have 12 unit Bs, and how you do this, you're going to fold this in half like this at the bottom, and the halfway mark you're going to place a pin. And be careful that you're placing these the right way. Remember, our grain lines were up here, so this is the outside. And we always match unit B with the accent piece on the left-hand side. We always want that here. And you do the same thing with the accent piece. You fold it in half at the top part, or the part that you're going to sew, place a pin there, and then match the 2 pins. When you stitch this, turn this over, and you're going to have the unit B against your feed dogs, because there's a lot of slack in there, or there's a lot of bias in there, a lot of stretch, and that will help it keep it from stretching. The feed dogs will take care of it. So you just mark these, match the 2 centers, then come over here and match this end, place a pin, and then place several pins here. Just make sure the edges are even without stretching the unit B at the bottom. Put a couple more pins there, and do the same thing on the other side. Now this was C5 and C4 that have the shape like this. The shapes are going out like this. Now here is C5 and C5, and these angles go like this. And we do the same thing with those. Fold it in half, fold this in half, make sure your accent piece is on the left-hand side, and then stitch those together. And this is what they look like once they're finished. This is the C5s, and you see the angle continues, and the angle continues this way. And we're going to take 2 of these, 2 of the C5 pairs, so they look like this, and then we'll take 1 of the C4 pair, or C4 C5 pair. See, this angle goes this way, and this angle goes like this. We have to take care of this little piece here because we need this angle to go like this. This is going to be the mitered border part. And what you do is take your ruler. Let's turn this around. We want this angle to continue, so we lay it right along the edge of this part, which is the C4 unit, and then we're just going to trim this off. So you should have a piece about this size to trim off. And now your angles are going the same way on both sides. So it looks like this, and it looks like this. Now if we look back where we divided this in half, these 3, and then here is our unit B, which has been stitched on. If we go down to this next level, you'll see where unit B is stitched on. So we can draw our half here, and our half here, and our half here. So these are our 2 C5s, C5. There's 2 here and 2 here. We've sewn them together. Here is C5 and C4, and here is the little piece that we just cut off. What we're going to do now is sew 3 of these together. If we flip over to page 10, we see where these have been sewn together. And to make more sense of it, we can put our line here, and our line here, and our line here. These are the ones you have now, your 3 pieces here, and we're going to sew them together just like this. And when you sew these together, you'll have 4 of these. I'm going to show you how you attach these pieces now, and more specifically this seam and how we line up this seam here. To do this, I use 2 different marking pens. I have a white one and a dark one. The white one is for the dark fabric and the dark one is for the light fabric, and this is by Sew Line. I use my purple thing, and I use the tip that has the 1/4 inch on it. Here is where we want to match these seams when we piece these together so the seam is even. And what we do, let's flip this over. On this edge where the seam line is right here, the stitches are right here. We want to measure down 1/4 inch and mark that. And I'm going to use the white pen. This tip on the end of the purple thing is 1/4 inch. So I place it along this part along the outside edge of the fabric, and then right where this tip meets the seam allowance, I'm going to mark the 1/4 inch. So right there is 1/4 inch from here to the edge. And then for the other one, this one, flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on this part where this seam allowance, the seam line comes down. We're going to match this, and where the 1/4 inch comes down, I'm going to use the dark pen and mark right here. So there's the mark for that. Now when we put these together, I'm going to stay zoomed in here. The top part you're going to match, and now these, you match this. This is the smart corner, and this little piece here, we match that with the top edge. So we're matching the side edge, and then where this little tip is, we match that on this edge, and then place a pin here. Then we'll come down to where we marked, and on this side we place the pin right at the mark where right next to the seam allowance, and then we put that back in. It came out. Then we go over here, and we're going to estimate for now where it would go. So we're going to guess that it goes there, and then check it on the back, and it's pretty close, but I'm going to move down a little bit to get it closer. Now it's too far. So there, it's right where it meets. And then you make sure you line up the 2 top edges, and then you check that they're perpendicular. The pin is perpendicular. So we have to move it over so the pin wants to go straight. And then match the edges, perpendicular, and then just pin it in. Then pin this other edge here. And when you stitch, you'll come right out where this makes a V here, where this makes a V. And when you stitch this part here that we marked, you're going to stitch right where the mark is, and just remove the pin at the very last minute, and it should make a nice straight seam. Now here is the seam that's been stitched, and you see that this point matches right along the edge. Then you do your 1/4 inch, and right here we've stitched right over where we marked that intersection, and then here we stitched right into the V. Let me get closer for you. It goes right into the V and comes out. And here you can barely see the marking here, but we stitched right on the marking. And then this side up here, right where the angle changes, it meets right on the edge. So let's flip it open, see what it looks like. we're going to press this toward the left. So there's the top, it's nice and straight. Let's get down here and see how well we did on this. There's the line here, nice and straight. And then the bottom, it's straight if we cut off this little nub. So do that when you attach all your 3 pieces. Once you have attached all the 3 pieces, you'll press to the left. So this is quite long when you're done. So this is the left-hand side, and there's one set. There's the other set. Here's the seam line, and then here's the other side. Just make sure that you have your angles are going this way on either side. And these are on illustration 4, the very outside border, and you'll have 4 of these.